everybody, I'm Buffoon, and before we get into it, I wanted to first show you guys this cool crate I found at sea. Now I've looked into it online and I didn't find anything about it. I actually didn't find anything at all, so I just wanted to show it to you guys, and maybe you could let me know what you think about it. I was rafting to another island, and I saw it at sea near the ship of the damned, the undead ships, and there was some interesting stuff in it, but unfortunately I didn't get to record what was in it. There was two of them, one near the other, and what I found inside was a few gold coins in each, 3 to 4 maybe, and I just started the game. I got my raft from the starting islands, you know, the ones with the merchants and everything, so getting a few gold coins that early on is nice. You could go back to the shops and buy something you might like. I also found 2 blueprints. One was for a stronger shipyard, a small shipyard, which is nice. So you could get started on building one of those early if you happen to find one. I don't remember what the other blueprint was because I unfortunately died when I had all that stuff. But besides that, now to get into the actual video, I want to talk about my experience with Atlas so far, where it could go potential-wise, the differences compared to Ark, and then some things I like about Atlas, and then maybe some things I don't like. I'll start by saying I do love Ark, and I put a good bit of time into it. There's a lot of things I liked about Ark, and obviously some things I didn't like, but I'm a fan of the game. So I'm not a new guy when it comes to Wildcard, the developers of Atlas, and I say that because going into my next point, I think Atlas should and will become a much more stable game very soon and grow much larger than it is now. And here's why. Wildcard spent so much time perfecting Ark, and now they have more skill that they can transfer to Atlas. So you can clearly see if you've been playing the game that they've been rolling out updates left and right. And I think one of the major reasons Atlas had so many problems was because even though many of the game elements and mechanics of the game are very similar to Ark, they still have to manage tens of thousands of players playing on this game together, which is no easy task even for AAA developers. People are struggling with, you know, huge servers all the time when a game first comes out, so it's pretty typical. And they're getting on top of it very fast. This seems new to them, and they clearly weren't prepared for the overload of players. And if you really think about it, the major problems now are just kind of connection and speed problems. For example, when I get into a server for the first time, I will be able to play for a good while, but I usually get kicked out a few times a day. Luckily, I can get right back in within 30 seconds or so, which is fine. It doesn't really affect me much, but the major issue for me is that I can't seem to get back into the game server unless I get really lucky. So I'll get kicked out a couple times, and then every once in a while I'll get kicked out, and I can't seem to get back in no matter what I do. I restarted several times due to the one fact that I couldn't get in for the life of me on a new server. So then I have to restart on a new server again, start all over, start from level 1, and just pray it doesn't happen again. But hopefully, I feel like they are working very hard on the game, and I think it can be expected to be fixed very soon. You know, that issue anyway. I looked online, a lot of people are struggling with that, you know, getting back into their game. I tried to reinstall the game, I tried to join another server just to get back into the official servers, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But in my speculation, Wildcard will manage to fix all the major bugs and issues that the game has, and it should be expected very rapidly too. They already have they have already put so much effort into many of the bugs in the short time it has been out, and with all that being said, I think Atlas does have a lot of potential. That is, if you're a fan of playing a game like Ark. There's so much to do in Atlas already, which I won't go on to explain, and it just feels larger than Ark, especially as far as your options on the map go, because the map is so enormous. I mean, one of the things that will be a plus, I think, is in Ark, clans tended to dominate the entire map, and there wasn't much hope, especially on the official servers after time passed. It was just, every time I hopped into an official server and tried to get anywhere, I would either get wiped because they wanted me to pay taxes, or because they just didn't like anybody on their server that they didn't know. Even though it was official, they kind of ran the servers, which was really unfortunate. So that's one of the things I don't like about Ark, but one of the things I do like about Atlas is the map is so enormous that I don't think that one clan could just overrule an entire map. The map is huge. if there's an area that may be overrun a little bit and they're not necessarily being the best people or the nicest clan, you could try to get a raft and just head on to another island or whatever and start from there. And if things don't work out, just switch servers. I don't think that the problem is going to be as huge in Atlas, just due to the map size. Um, that's one of the things I like about Atlas. I also like the ships. I think having ships is a really cool idea. Massive ships, huge clans. Obviously, it's better for a big clan to run the ship. But hopping from island to island and then heading straight back to yours is a very cool concept. And fighting the ship of the damned is cool. I think they're going to add much more bosses. Clearly, the game is in early access, so they haven't added a lot of things they probably plan on adding. Another thing I like is the shops. They didn't have any shops in Ark, so I just kind of like the idea of buying those the clothing, and you can buy a raft right now, just a starting raft. You can also buy crewmates, and along with that, the what do you call them? The things that go on the front of the ship. So I mean that's kind of cool. Being able to have NPC crewmates. I don't know how smart they haven't got any yet. I'll have to get some. That's a pretty cool idea. So maybe if they can help replace clanmates a little bit, if you run solo or you don't have people to play with, you can get some NPCs to run the ship with you. I really like that idea. And then the center maw. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I know it says you have to get the 9 stones and bring them to the center maw, but I do like that idea that there's a goal and then they give you a quest that you start with. And I'm sure they'll add more, like I said, but having that one starting thing that gives you a good grind feels nice. And I do like the grind. Ark has always been a grindy game, and Atlas is very similar. So I've always liked the grind. You got to really grind to get what you want. You got to put some time into the game, and if you don't like the grind, I suggest you play on an unofficial server with multipliers on, because you can amp the taming and the XP and the harvesting. If any of you play Ark frequently or did, then you would know about that. So if you don't like the grind, you can always go play on an unofficial server. I played on one for a few hours, and obviously it was much easier to level up and get what you wanted. And it was on PvE, so I didn't have to worry about getting raided. If you don't want to play PvE, you can play PvE. If you don't want to play PvP, you can play PvE. So those are a couple things that I do like. There's much more, but those are just kind of the major things. It feels really similar to Ark, so if you like Ark, there you go. But it also has its own little twist on it, which was what I was kind of looking for. I like Ark, and I like the style of it, but I obviously don't want to play the same game twice. A lot of the animals are kind of reskinned, but a lot of them are also a little different. And it's similar to that. So they brought a lot of the same elements from Ark to Atlas, but then they also have their own little twist, and they have ships, and they have such an enormous map, and new creatures, and the skill tree is different. So there's a lot of differences, and I like that. But there also are some things that I don't like as of now. One of them being, hopefully there are more bosses, like I said. In Ark, there was a lot of different bosses you could fight, and exclusive items you'd get for killing those bosses based on their difficulty. I hope to add something like that to Atlas. I think that was very cool. The grind was kind of insane to go and even fight the bosses, let alone kill them. I kind of hope it's toned down a little bit, but I'm not sure, because then people could just fight the boss over and over and over, and then they would be overpowered themselves. So, but I'm sure they'll implement something like that and do a good job with it. The skill tree is something that's major to me. I don't know if I like the idea of being able to add your skill points, but then just reset them and reallocate them to something else based on your situation. And also, you get to apply points based on when you level up, which I'm not sure I like so much. I think I'd rather, for example, like the firearms skill tree, pistols and the blunderbuss and the rifle. I think it'd be a lot nicer to see that you get skill points based on how much you use firearms, rather than just grinding and leveling up and then applying those skill points to the guns. I think it would add a much more competitive element. So you would actually have to grind on firearms, for example, or melee, or the bow, and actually use it frequently to get the next skill rather than just go kill a bunch of animals and level up however you might want to level up and then just get that skill at ease. And then also, if you don't have the skill you want, you just reallocate all your points to that one skill. I'd rather see that you have to earn XP on that specific skill tree and level it up by using it frequently rather than leveling up your character and then just applying the skill to whatever you want. It seems to me like defenses might be lacking a little bit. I'm not sure on that though. In Arc, you had like automated turrets and things like that, electricity. In Atlas, it's a little different. I'm not seeing that there's any automated defenses. And I don't know if that's a problem or not yet because the game is still very early. But without proper defenses, you could get raided very easily. Someone pulls up with a ship even and starts blasting your doors with their cannons, and you have 0 defenses. They could even break it down with hand tools if they wanted to. So I don't know how I feel about that yet. As of now, I'm not sure if I like it yet. I wish there was better defenses for your base on your island. But with all the feedback that they'll get throughout the course of the game, I think they'll make proper changes. And then along with the map size, this allows for probably less toxic players, which I was talking about earlier, where a whole clan couldn't just dominate a whole map and do whatever they want. You had no chance to survive in the official servers. It can't be fixed fully, but it could be toned down a little bit at the least. But if it seems to stay like how it was in Arc, hopefully not. But if it is somewhere near that, and if you don't like PvP, then you can obviously just go play some PvE, or play on an unofficial server where they make the rules and it's fair. Obviously, the game is not completely optimized, so that's obviously something I don't like. But I mean, that's pretty evident. It's an early access. People have to understand that there's issues. It's not a full game. I think that the lashing of the game was pretty intense, but people don't understand that. Wildcard made Atlas, and they did a pretty good job with it. It took them a long time to finally release the full game, but if it's Atlas is very similar to Arc, so I'm confident that they will work on the game and make it much better in due time, and they're working very hard on it. They're rolling out updates almost daily, and it seems like the game's getting a little bit better each time. I know since I started, I couldn't get into a game for the server for the life of me. Now I can actually manage to get in. Unfortunately, I get kicked out, and it's hard to get back in. But at least I can play the game. At first, I could barely play it. The game was slow. People were lagging around. Ships were a mess. Ships seem to be working decent now. So they're working on the game very hard. And I think what it kind of really boils down to is, do you like Arc, but do you want something a little different? And if so, you're playing the right game. You just got to give the developers the time they need to work on it. And so if you're willing to just get through, the little problems they have, I think that you'd very much enjoy Atlas. But if you'd rather go and play Arc for now, then go play Arc, because now it is a full game and it's fully optimized. So it's kind of just take your pick. Do you have the patience to wait for Arc or Atlas? Because I think the developers really will work on it, and they're trying really hard right now, and the updates are rolling out. Or would you rather not wait? Go play something else. Go play Arc if you want. Wait a while and then jump on Atlas, when maybe it's a better game. So I think that about wraps it up. This is kind of all just my opinion and what I think about it so far, based on what I like, how I play. I play PvP on an official server, so this is kind of how I feel about it. So far, I really like the game. There's problems, but I'm getting past them. I'm just working through them, because I know that in due time they will fix it. And so yeah, that's just kind of my take on Atlas so far. As of right now, I'm going to be releasing more gameplay and I want to get to the ship of the damned and fight the ships. I know some people have already. I want to do all the things that I want to do the quest you get in the beginning, the center mall thing. If there's anything undiscovered, I would love to go and see what they have there in store. I want to do a little more traveling on the map. I've only jumped from a few islands, so there's a lot I want to do, and then that could change maybe my opinions on the game or change my experience. But either way, that about does it, and thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video.